Alex Hanser here, July 20th, 2013, and this video is about the alternative media. And I'd appreciate it if you send this video to anyone that's involved in creating alternative media, in particular those that say they want to create their own network, in particular news network, in particular video news network, as in an alternative TV network. Now I want to talk about this concept, I want to talk about this idea, and for those of you that have been watching my videos the last several years, you know that I left Portland, Oregon, my hometown, and gave up my Access TV show Outside the Box in order to travel to Dallas, Texas, and help someone else out that had a dream, a vision, if you will, that I happened to share, that was about creating a real alternative media network where people can go 24 hours a day and hear something new, here's something fresh, here's something empowering, here's something diverse. And I found out along the way, and by the way, I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement to be a part of this company. But I learned a lot of things about what you don't do and how you don't treat people and how you don't present yourself and things of that nature. So I've had a lot of time between now and then to think about that. And this is a year 2013 where there are more people talking about wanting to have their own alternative media network of some form. And here's some advice that I have for those that want to go in that direction. And there's lots of different pieces of advice. I don't know whether I'll get them all in this video, but let me go over the basics. Number one, this isn't all about you. Okay, your website is for it to be all about you. Your own blah, 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 your first name, your last name, or the name of your show, .com, .tv, .org. So that's the place where it's all about you. Network, to me, encompasses variety of different people, variety of different perspectives, including a variety of people that are hosting the shows with different ethnic backgrounds. And I think the alternative media network needs that, a real alternative media network. There are some people that have incorporated that. They're like, we are alternative media network. But alternative media network, that is a generic name that you just, you really shouldn't be incorporating. But someone has the right to do that in this country, and that's fine. But alternative media network is basically a general idea or independent news network. So anyone interested in truly expanding their audience beyond just a niche aspect of the alternative media, you got to have different perspectives. You got to have different personalities. You have to be, I've always seen it as a rainbow, like a good quality newscast, like I want to get back to doing if I can get the equipment that I need. Has a lot of different information. It's daily news. It's international news. It's national news, and then it's local news. You know, what pertains to what's going on around you. You know, but in terms of the international stuff, you got to cover the rainbow, the wheel of what's relevant. It's not just, the latest announcement for global government. It's not just the latest threat to Second Amendment. It's also those that are having victories. It's also those city councils that are kicking fluoride out of their water supply. It are those public officials in northern Colorado that want to have their 51st state. It's those officials in Colorado, east of Denver by an hour, that want to be able to shoot down drones that are setting up their own infrastructure, licenses, hunting licenses, to shoot down drones owned by the federal government. You got to have like a wide spectrum analysis of what's going on. Maybe some health news, some protest news. Now, how about protest news of not just what's going on in the United States, but what's going on in Russia and how the Russian government wants to oppress those unsanctioned protests that are currently taking place. It's a good, well-balanced diet. The real meat and potatoes. Now, a news network is a well-balanced diet. You got one host that's covering the UFO stuff. You got one host that's dealing with the spiritual stuff, and creating your reality. You got the other host, he's talking about the legal stuff. You got another host, he's talking about Agenda 21. You've got another host, he's talking about the manufactured rise of China and Russia and the World War III endgame. You got somebody like me, on that network that's expressing that view. That's not about 80% of us being killed in 2012, 2013. Stop freaking out. You got perspectives that this New World Order is a long-term agenda, and they're literally destroying the United States to make way for a whole new system. that will be enslaving those that live within the United States at a later point in time. And you're going to have other hosts. They're going to be talking about or interviewing people. You're going to have massive interviews, a whole wide spectrum beyond what I can even imagine. And see, here's the thing. I've just been giving you my perspective so far in the 5 minutes and 18 seconds of this video. I'm talking about Alternative Media Network that only has a wide variety of perspectives and shows, but has literally an advisor team that's not part of a secret society, but that's actually open and transparent, a board of advisors that the people, the audience, can interact with. So those helping organize the network are constantly tapped in to where the audience is. And they're bringing you the content, the interviews. They're going out with their reporters and seeking to interview the people the audience wants to see interviewed. There's got to be more transparency between the people that run these networks and the people that are watching the networks. And I'm focusing on not radio here, folks, but TV. Because there is a void that needs to be filled, and people that are in the alternative media, people that are looking for independent media, it's growing as people escape the clutches of CNN. And literally, it's like a mind clutch. They free their minds, they realize they're being lied to, and now they're looking outside of that box for information. And when they go and they look outside that box for information, what do people often find in the alternative media? That's right, they find that guy. They find him. And so they're thinking, oh, shit. So everybody talking about this stuff, they're like, that guy. And that's actually not the truth. Whatever your perspective is of that guy. And however he presents his information. It's his perspective that 80% of us are going to be killed. But there are other plans that he appears to not be aware of. Other plans that the New World Order has. Or maybe he's aware of them, or he's not. I'm not going to get into that. That's not what this video is about. But because of the way that he has presented himself, for years people have tried to have their own radio and TV network. And I'm telling you, you got to have professionals that are working within these networks. We'll talk about funding later. You got to have professionals that aren't invested in ego, and they got to be able to say, we need to start covering this more. The audience is looking for more of this. We need to, these alternative media networks should have a think tank. They're like, these are some of the things that we see, like an intelligence agency, not one that goes and kills people, but one that takes intelligence and tries to use it to empower us. We've got to give more coverage to this. We've got to empower people. We've got to use our ability to connect people around positive ideas, not rally people behind, co-opted protests and co-opted movements, but things that are actually going somewhere. Now, how do you determine what's worthy and what's not worthy? Again, you got to have a network where it's not just one person calling the shots. You got to have people that have the maturity to be able to listen to the views of others and also express their true views to others. We're not feeling that without perceiving that if they were to do that, they're going to be pushed out of the gang, pushed out of the tribe, pushed out of the network, pushed out of a fucking job. See, there's too much of this fear of being pushed out of a fucking job if you said how you really feel, if you expressed how you really feel. But that fear does not exist only in the alternative media, rather mainstream media. It exists in the alternative media. It exists at networks like the one owned by the big enchilada down south. Everyone that works for him has a non-disclosure agreement. He's operating very much like the mainstream media because he has a business. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. But when you have something that's strictly a business, then it's about profit. It's about ratings. It's about advertisers. It's about creating whatever story you need to create to make sure that people are coming back to your website. What I'm talking about is something very different. If we're going to go beyond what he's doing, we can't think about what we're doing as either a business or it all being about ourselves. We have to be able to work with other people. We need to be able to see the value in other people's shows. It has been very hard for me to interact with other hosts because a lot of the younger men out there are very into themselves. They can't even communicate with me. If you do communicate with them, a lot of them, it's all going to be about that guy. What do you think about that guy? Do you support him? Do you not like him? And if I want to maintain a sense of neutrality as I've been over the years, because I can see the light and good in all things, and I don't believe in being an extremist, in the yin and yang reality of things, but being in the middle and looking at the positive and negative. I've just come across so many negative, insecure boys that should be evolving to manhood that happen to be in the alternative media. And there's a lot of infantile issues that Americans face as a result of the environment that we have been brought up into, but that's not my fucking problem. So what we need to see is we need to see more mature hosts come together and realize that this is not about fighting or even talking down about other hosts. That's what they're doing, and that's what he's doing down south. Where are we going to put our resources together and really put together a massive package that's going on Dish, that's going on a big network, that's going to get shared around the web? But I'll tell you now, there is enough content out there that exists on YouTube, on Disclose.tv, on other websites where a mindful, moral, selfless board of advisors or board of directors could put together a nonprofit TV network that's for free, available at any point on the web for people to watch, but has a ability to generate some income so you can maintain a certain level of professionalism. You can have a network out there that's fully staffed by volunteers sending in their shows, but have a backbone to it for professionals, paid professionals that are making sure that the network doesn't end up looking like shit. Because when you have just volunteers doing everything in a network, well, you have an issue with quality. You have, and I'm not going to get into names at all, but there's so many situations in alternative media where the people running the networks are doing it because they care, but they get so burnt out they just leave, and things aren't getting archived, or they start drinking or smoking too much weed, and they start getting too paranoid, and they lose that creative, effective, professional edge that they used to have in their younger days. But because now there's so much shit going on and we're so divided, a lot of people have just given up. Well, I haven't given up. That's why I keep doing these YouTube videos. I have abstained from living in the city. And I've been living off the grid with nothing. I'm doing my recording on my laptop. I don't even own my own camera. I need gear, folks, if anyone's got broadcast gear. So I want to expand AlexAnswery.tv. So I sacrifice. I talk about those sacrifices. People try to bitch and whine, say, Alex, cut your hair. Alex, go back to the city. Alex, we miss your old. They're missing the fucking point. I'm showing you that I can still be my own media and not be working for somebody else, telling me what to say, or staying in a city, staying at Access TV, yet living literally in a hellhole, having nowhere to live, and living that environment. No, man, motherfucker, I'm going to abstain from that, and I'm going to be free. And as I choose freedom, I'm going to document it every step of the way. And I'm also going to document my successes. After all the stuff you've seen me through, how many of you told me to go back to the city? You guys are the failures in life that just give up because you're not supporting someone that's sacrificing to go. For now, I don't want to berate anyone. But there are some videos where it's just been nothing but Alex run back to the city like a little girl, like a little bitch, just like the rest of us. And it's just like, wow. And I know I've turned off a lot of people since I started talking about living off the grid and not being such a junkie to all the bubbles and trinkets of the city, whether it's getting laid or whether it's having a beer, whether it's having a slice of pizza, whether it's having a cup of coffee. Tell you what, folks, a lot of people aren't escaping their cage because they're addicted. Like a heroin junkie to all those things the New World Order gives you in the grid. They bring the water to you. How many people look at where I'm living, they go, oh my God, there's no water. Yes, there fucking is. There's wells, there's rivers. Are you willing to get up and go truck some water? You're not. Okay, well, you're willing to be a slave. So I just want to go ahead and wrap all this up. This video is really for those that are aspiring to create their own video network, and remind them that they should have professionals involved that can call them on their own shit when need be, to remember this is all about the audience, not stroking one's own ego, not creating one's own enterprise, bringing selfless values to the table and associating with other selfless people, so maybe as a community we can be more effective at creating that video network that we need to see manifest. Because as more people step outside the box of MSNBC, Fox News, and that guy, they're looking for other independent grassroots opinions that they can relate to. So this is free advice, and I hope those of you interested in truly creating your own video network, or even those that want to create their own website or show, take some of the information to heart that I mentioned in this video.